Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back. I really appreciate my new subscribers. Thank you. And on this channel, we discuss a plethora of different topics. It's not, it was basically going to be like a conspiracy channel dealing with conspiracy, even though I still do that. But I decided to deal with a wide range of subjects because it's so much going on and we need to stay wake and woke. And then I wanted to be fun too. So I had to ask celebrity news because what I found out is that most people don't give a damn about the truth about what's going on. So I try to mix it up a little bit to hit just all corners of the avenue. But I found this article and video and I thought it was interesting. It reminds you of the Hunger Games. How they gonna divide the United States up in districts, but that's another topic for another day. However, I found this humans hunting humans. There's a history like the Hunger Games, like the movie Hostile. People do pay, the elite do pay, um, allegedly, to participate in these type of sports. But even if you remember Hillary Clinton with Pizzagate and her emails, she was looking for a black walnut to sacrifice to Moloch. They do if they are into the occult or Luciferian worship. They do perform these rituals. So I came across this article and I got a video. It shouldn't be on here long. This article is out of Medium. Human Honey, the Twisted History of a Dangerous Game. This article came out last year. Believe it or not, human hunting isn't exactly a brand new concept that arose from pop culture and fiction about other people hunting other individuals for sports or fun. Remember when Dick Cheney shot in the a Bush administration, George W. Bush, and they was out hunting and he shot his friend in the face, kind of sort of like the hunger. I immediately thought about the Hunger Games. Just like during slave times, they would release some slaves out, tell them to run, and start shooting at them. This was a game, it was a sport. So the Chronicles, hunted by Eugenia Files, is one good example of a story that dwells into the topic of humans being hunted like a game. The book tackles the struggle that Samuel Calico, the tale's main protagonist, encounters in the twisted cat and mouse games he finds himself in. Other novels and films talk about the same issue, but what's unique with this one is that the stakes are quite higher, with many people's lives hanging in the balance. Humanity has been engaged in the field of hunting ever since the birth of our species. Since the beginning of time, humans have been hunters. While some individuals still like to hunt for their nourishment, others do it purely for the exhilaration or to kill. At one point, hunting was required for survival. Some people in society find great pleasure in the sport of killing helpless animals, and this practice is frequently linked to social status. Since then, the genre has been used to showcase the concept of hunting other humans, to make commentaries on wealth disparity, social upheaval, and class divisions. The novel in which the most dangerous game is based dates back even further, but the film premiered in 1932 and set the standard for similar productions. It depicts a big game hunter who is pursued by the aristocracy. Numerous films and novels have since reinterpreted and repurposed the idea, with many of them emphasizing the socio political difference between those who hunt and the ones hunted. I'm live! Within the genres of films and novels, humans hunting humans in movies and literature has provided some commentary. regardless if it's rednecks going after city dwellers, deliverance, the wealthy hunting the homeless, surviving the game, or individuals. Adanye, hey Allie, how you doing? How you been, sweetie? Or individuals going after criminals, turkey shoot. They've all delivered. But as history has demonstrated, the idea of humans hunting for sport is not imaginary. For instance, the higher class of Sparta used hunting to keep members of their population of servitude under control during the time of ancient Greece. You want to come up, Allie? I can drop the link. While a covert police unit was principally responsible for murder, young Spartans engaged in the sport as part of their military training. The youthful warriors were known to hunt farmers because of their strength, but they were additionally infamous for sneaking around at dusk and murdering anyone who ventured along the route. I am live! Stop it! I'm sorry, y'all. Allie, you want me to drop the link? Spartans could have done human honey and helped prepare them. Oh, you in bed? Oh, okay. Spartans could have done human honey to train their young warriors further and help prepare them for battle, while the villains in the Callio Chronicles hunted by Eugenia Files has completely different reason. It's basically the same vile act. Hey, Therapy, how you doing? Hold on, I'm about to hit him. How you doing, Therapy? When European settlers arrived in Americas during the conquest of the New World, the custom of man-hunting was also widespread. Native Americans were hunted down during this time and either slaughtered or sold into slavery because of the reliable source of cash. But like I said earlier, even during that time of slavery, they would let some slaves go, and it was a game, and they would hunt them. Literally, it was a game, and shoot and unalive them. You got your drink chilling, okay? Although it wasn't unusual for some participants to enjoy the act and approach it like a sport. In a book called Manhunts, A Physiological History, that the primary goal of these excursions was to capture slaves and dominate their territory. It is believed that one of the first instances of sporting side of hunts took place on the soil of Royal Chateau Amboise in France in the 15th century. According to legend, King Louis XI, 10, yeah, that's 11, pursued a convicted felon who was wearing the skin of a recent slaughtered deer. A pack of dogs then caught the target and ripped it to pieces. You need a drink too? The common denominator through all of these gloomy eras in human history is the mindset of hunters. Since their victims belong to a lower social economic level. Now, that's a fact. People don't believe that humans hunt humans, but yes, they do, and they have in the past. And it's a game, a sport now among the elites, whether you believe it or not. So they were lower social economic level, had criminal records, or were of a different skin tone. They were not seen as individuals with rights. That's my good friend Therapy. They were, in essence, they believed those they were hunting were inferior to animals, and for generations, this was acceptable conduct in some cultures. And this is so true. Naturally, attitudes have evolved and society has advanced. Human rights rules that forbid killing protect individuals in a majority of countries. Some experts predict that the state will continue to promote these behaviors in the future, even though there are insane people who will engage in them some more. Once more, hostile. That movie, I watched that over and over and over. One of my favorite movies. People paying to hunt humans down, eat their flesh, or and like I said, like Hillary Clinton's email, where she was looking for a black walnut to sacrifice to Moloch. This is real. It's true. The Callio Chronicles Hunted by Eugenia Fox is a great book to read for the thrill and the thought provoking act of humans hunting other humans. Okay. Now, let's get into this video. You want to come up, therapy?
The following video deals with mature subject matter, which may not be suitable for younger children. Viewer discretion is advised.
So if you got children in your room, please have them exit.
On July 20th, 2024, a disturbing deathbed confession appeared on the politically incorrect discussion board of the website Fran.com, describing a chilling ritual that takes place every year in northern Canada. Contrary to my better judgment, I've decided to republish that confession here.
All right, Allie, love you.
4chan is an anonymous forum, notorious for the elaborate hoaxes and fictional narratives generated by its users, and the vast majority of posts made thereon, despite the gullibility of the mainstream media, which sometimes takes the bait, are not to be taken seriously. In fact, the website's unofficial motto once was, "The stories and information posted here are artistic works of fiction and falsehood. Only a fool would take anything posted here as fact." Nevertheless, every once in a while, political, corporate, medical, and military whistleblowers use this roguish outlet to make stunning disclosures, which are later proven to be true. In October 2012, for example, an Australian government employee leaked a classified Defence Australia intelligence report on the website, citing inspiration from WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. In August 2019, an anonymous 4chan poster reported on the mysterious death of billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, nearly an hour before the news was officially broken by the press. And as recently as November 5th, 2024, a user of the infamous image board released esoteric details about an upcoming video game called Pokemon Legends Z-A, some of which have since been corroborated by a press release. Although I typically try to reserve judgment on the stories that I tell, I feel compelled in this case to state that I'm personally skeptical of this one, in large part because of the medium by which it was told. At the very least, however, it makes for a good campfire story, which may deserve a place in the growing compendium of modern Canadian folklore. And perhaps, as is so often the case with urban legends, there may be a kernel of truth at its core. The anonymous original poster, or OP, began his thread with the words, "I'm dying soon, and I want to tell all of you something. I am part of a group of First Nations peoples living in the country known as Canada. This group of roughly 500 men from across the land hunt people in the deep north twice a year. I have been partaking in the hunt since I was 27 years old, at first as a scout and laborer, and eventually as a hunter myself. I have been part of 57 hunts over the years, and personally killed 24 people. I was also involved in the kidnapping and transport of hundreds of people, including the Lost Boys of Pickering. The poster report with an invitation to ask him anything, declaring that he would take a lethal dose of a certain opioid in 3 hours. Attached to the post was a photo of a Lee Enfield .303 rifle, which the poster claimed he used for 90% of the hunts in which he participated. In response to questions fielded by other anonymous users, the OP disclosed that he was 68 years old, bedridden, and living in Vancouver, British Columbia. He was suffering from very painful terminal cancer and wanted to get this dark secret off his chest. Through a scattering of replies, which paint a fuller picture of the alleged ritual and the history of his involvement in it. "We are all from wealthy tribe," he wrote. "Our money allows for the abduction of anyone, anywhere in the country." He described how, twice a year, arranged for the kidnapping of random victims from across the country. Most of the abductees were immigrants, whose disappearances, he claimed, were less likely to spur serious investigations.
Facts.
Newcomers to the country were also relatively easy to control on the long drives or float plane rides to the North Country. Another demographic the hunters preyed on were female hitchhikers, allegedly accounting for the many cases of missing Native women who have famously disappeared from Canadian reserves. We stay away from addicts and the feeble, the OP road, because they are not sporting. For the same reason, children were never targeted. To be very frank, the poster continued, it is all very degenerate. There is no order to it. We gather and drink, and release 10 at a time, and move out in groups according to seniority. Sometimes we gather the strongest ones in a group, and give them basic implements, and hunt them first, several hours before the rest. Some of the participants he knew had brought home Vic's hearts and skulls for use in personal arcane rituals, although he himself had never taken any of these. Mostly it's very cold and methodical, he wrote, no ceremony. The OP claimed that he first learned about the hunt from his brother, a violent man, whom he described as an addict and a loudmouth. One day, his brother introduced him to the organizer of this gruesome event and sold him into his service, accepting payment for the OP's participation as an assistant in an upcoming hunt. This job proved to be extremely dangerous, leading the OP to suspect that his brother made the arrangement in the hope that he would be killed. This fratricidal desire, the OP believed, said that took place years earlier. When he was in his early 20s, he explained, his older brother killed a man in front of him, and he had helped dispose of the body. For years, the brother feared that the OP would let slip the deed crime and incriminate him. Perhaps he had introduced him to the hunt in an effort to silence him forever. If so, his plan backfired, as the brother lost his life on that very hunt. There has never been a hunt that I know of that at least one of our group hasn't died, the poster later explained. There are rivalries among us, and it is known that partaking in the hunt means you are also fair game. There have been several deaths from the prey killing the hunt.
See, that remind me of when Dick Cheney under George W. Bush went hunting and shot his friend in the face.
Over the years, but it's exceedingly rare. When asked if any of the human prey had ever escaped, the OP wrote, yes, many got away, but it never mattered. They are out there barefoot, wearing basic clothing, many hundreds of kilometers from anything resembling civilization. When asked if he felt any guilt about his participation in the ritual, the poster wrote, everyone experiences, but you learn to bury it or let go. Because education and localized misgivings will see you dead in the woods alongside the sport. When asked whether he enjoyed the hunts, he wrote, I once did, but later it became a matter of participate or else. The or else comes in the form of direct threats to your family. We have all seen things, the poster wrote, in response to a query regarding any uncanny experiences the hunters have had in the northern wilderness. The only thing we all agree on is that we have all, at some point, seen what the white man calls Sasquatch. Tall, hairy men walking upright, shadowing us for days.
Okay, I'm doing it now.
The last of the OP's lengthy replies was a description of what he considered his most memorable hunt. This event took place in 1989, near Kaniapskau, Quebec, an abandoned Hudson's Bay Company post, which once stood on the northern shores of the Grand River east of James Bay, at the mouth of the Kaniapskau River. That was an enormous undertaking, he wrote, that took months to plan, and huge amounts
I'm dropping the link now.
9 planes and 45 prey, and nearly 120 hunters. All were men between 18 and 55, strong and well-fed. They were flown in and housed in a large cabin we purpose-built the event. They were given adequate clothing and food, and allowed to live in the cabin for 3 days to rest and make ready. They were given knives and hatchets and told what was happening. A few went catatonic and were killed before the release to prove our resolve to the rest. They were released all at once and told they had 1 hour to get as far as possible. We used a pack of dogs bred specifically for this hunt. They weren't meant to guide us to them. They were simply released until saw fit. This hunt lasted nearly 3 weeks and spanned nearly 500 kilometers. Some were never found. Dogs got a few. The dogs attacked some of us. Some dogs came back wounded. Some men were found close to death from being mauled. 2 men miraculously managed to make their way to a fire watchtower and barricaded themselves in. We burned them alive.
Damn.
The OP's last post in the thread was an invitation for those skeptical of history to attempt to verify the events to which he alluded. There is ample evidence of all of this in the locations I've discussed, he wrote. Go look. The only location which the poster mentioned textually was Kaneopiskau, Quebec, at which he alleged a massive hunt took place in 1999. Eerily, the posters claim that 2 men were burned alive in a fire watchtower during that event, accords with a historic fire which ripped through the boreal forest east of James Bay in the summer of that year, beginning on July 2nd and consuming more than 20,000 hectares of timberland. Contemporary newspaper articles indicate that the wildfire was deemed such a threat, several hundred residents of the nearby village of Radisson, Quebec, and employees of the Lagrange 2 Dam were forced to evacuate the area, being flown to the cities of Val-d'Or and... Although he made no mention of it textually, the OP included a Google Earth screenshot of Kitty Lake, Ontario, in a reply describing how, when hunts were conducted in especially remote locations, the quarry were flown in by float plane. At the end of the reply, he included geographic coordinates for Kitty Lake, an extremely remote body of water located at the edge of Barrens.
I dropped the link, Therapy.
The Mackay River, the latter being a tributary of the Attawapiskat, which drains into James Bay. This author was able to find a single news story set on the shores of this desolate pond in either of the 2 tribes to which he is subscribed. Before we continue, it might be worth our while to clarify a statement made by the original poster.
It's almost 5 more minutes on this
The OP
video.
mentioned that the victims of the dark hunting club to which he belonged included the Lost Boys of Pickering, 6 young men from the city of Pickering, Ontario, who lie at the heart of one of the province's most baffling mysteries. Pickering is a city in the northern shores of Lake Ontario, sandwiched between the metropolis of Toronto and easterly Oshawa. On the night Friday 17th, 1995, 6 Pickering teenagers, who ranged in age from 16 to 18, left a house party in high spirits, apparently with the intention to commit some lighthearted mischief at the Frenchman's Bay Arena. They were never seen. At the insistence of the boys' parents.
And I just Googled that. This is a true story. The Lost Boys of Pickering. And that's their picture. This was Jay Boyle, Chad Smith, Robbie Rumbert, Jamie LaBrea, Michael Cummings, and Danny Higgins. Oh, let me why they let me
mic check, and things like that, and so such.
I'm trying to add you to the stage. Did it let me? Oh, there you go. I hit. Oh, this must be tripping.
It ain't that. I've been on the stage like 3 or 4 times within 2 seconds. What's going on now, woman? What you doing over there? Hey, I like your title.
Oh, nothing.
Oh man, they've been doing this from day one, since the beginning of humanity. They've been accountable.
Yeah, because this true. Some people don't believe this kind of stuff has taken place.
It happens all the time.
Before slavery, they've been hunting others.
They were talking about it in the Bible.
But I wanted to say that
what they was doing when they put them in the lion's den. They was doing that kind of thing back then, right?
Before that, if you go back to the Romans and the Greeks playing them games, the Hunger Games is real. Yep.
So when they
Yeah.
talk about it in the Bible, they act like they didn't know what they were doing. Man, you knew what they were doing. They were throwing them in the lion's den. That's why Gladiator looked like it looked. That man, these people been doing this. People just want things to be how they want it to be, and understanding what you're reading. You know, that's why reading comprehension is important in school. Understand what you read. Cause that Bible telling you everything.
Right. They call them gladiator games.
Yeah. I'm like, this been in the Bible.
You
What do
know
you
what?
think?
You need to exit and come. Okay, because you was going in and out. But that's right, because they call them gladiator games.
Yeah, what do you think the story about Daniel in the lion's den was about? You know? Think about that. What do you think that story was about? They was already doing it. They were what do you think they were doing to those slaves? They made them fight to the death, watch the lions eat them, and anybody escape. They got people to hunt them down. Then they were
That's
cannibals back
right.
then.
Even with
They were,
slaves.
yeah, and then they
Yep.
were cannibals. All of them were cannibals. What it would they didn't have that much food to give people. Like, come on, man. Like, it's right there if you understood it. Some people just don't want to
Yeah. That we
understand it.
gonna watch the last. We gonna
Oh,
watch this last 5 minutes of this video because this gonna be a short video.
The
no,
Bear
go
region
ahead. I'm
launched
chilling.
a delayed search and rescue operation in conjunction with the Metro Toronto Police, the Canadian Coast Guard, the Royal Canadian Air Force, scout French's Bay and the surrounding waters for any sign of the missing teens. Concurrent with the boys' disappearance were the vanishings of two watercraft from two separate local marinas, one of them being an imitation Boston whaler, the original whaler being a motorboat filled with polyurethane foam, touted as unsinkable, and a water trike, or three-wheel paddle boat. After 2 days of searching, without finding any clues as to the boys' fate, the authorities inexplicably called off the operation, presuming that the teens had suffered an accident on Lake Ontario and had gone down to its icy depths with the unsinkable boat they had presumably stolen. In 2020, a private investigator named Bruce Ricketts, who incidentally is the founder of two websites that I currently run, one of them being mysteriesofcanada.com, picked up the cold case, pursuing leads that the police had failed to follow. Ricketts came across evidence indicating that they have met with Faye, the most mysterious figure surveillance footage taken at a Pickering Marina, which had captured three of the lost boys entering the area 20 minutes earlier, apparently to steal beer from a boat. Bizarrely, Ricketts only managed to obtain this footage after making 3 formal requests to the Durham Regional Police, being initially told that the footage did not exist. Ricketts continued to investigate the case until his death in January 2024, publishing his findings in a 2022 book called The Lost Boys of Pickering. I hope to make his find the subject of a future piece. While the original poster did not provide any proof for his claims, there is circumstantial evidence suggesting that his story might be a fabrication, inspired by film and literature. The concept of a cabal of wealthy sportsmen hunting human game in the wilderness has ample precedent in fiction, first and most famously appearing in American novelist Richard Connell Jr.'s 1924 short story, The Most Dangerous Game. In this piece, an American big game hunter falls overboard during a voyage in the Caribbean and swims to a tropical island, inhabited only by an exiled Russian aristocrat and servant. Over dinner, the Russian informs the castaway that he hunts visitors to his island for sport, with food, clothing, and a knife, and giving them a 3-hour head start before setting after them with a pistol and hunting dogs. This motif has occurred in at least 18 cinematic adaptations of Connell's game, which have the same name. One rendition which bears remarkable resemblance to the OP's story is the 1994 film Surviving the Game, in which a homeless man played by
Remember, I was
Ice-T
telling you
is flown
about
to a
that.
remote cabin in the woods, paid $50,000 for the privilege of hunting him. Another more recent film, an obscure independent production called Death Hunt, is set on a remote Canadian island, while a 2013 film called Frozen Ground, which which has similar themes, takes place in the Alaskan wilderness. Far more questionable than the parallels between the OP's story and these works of fiction is the photo of his rifle, which he claimed to have used in 90% of his hunts. One of the anonymous thread participants subjected the photo to a reverse image search and discovered it derived from an advertisement on the website gunpost.ca. When confronted with this evidence, the poster replied that he had sold the guns sometime earlier. Barring the possibility that the OP indeed sold his rifle to the dealer in Toronto and had found the resale advertisement, his use of the image puts the veracity of his story into question. Was the OP LARPing or role-playing, as charged by many of the thread contributors? Or is there truly a secret sportsman's club that hunts human beings in northern Canada? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
You know what?
I think they do hunt. I do.
Everybody knows they hunt. It's millions of people come up missing, and then certain people that when Oprah went over there and got that school and got them girls, and sold it to the militia, they swept that under the rug. Epstein, all these people, they still do it. I told you about the Surviving the Game movie.
And all them.
The movie Hostel, I love.
But I just want to add Hostel. I brought that up earlier, but I wanted to say something about Oprah and that girls' school. Those girls were molested. And that's why they shut that school down in South Africa. Every girl was molested. They was molested.
But this is not hearsay. This is a story we saw. And they sold, because they'll be like, do you have proof? I'm like, they done did stories on that. The militia got them back or something like that. It was something like that, weird. So, when we sitting up here talking.
That's why she established that school for girls. That was the front.
And then
to perform rituals.
Yeah. And then, she could have did that in Chicago, but she know them Chicago people wasn't going for it. You know what I mean? So that she had to go way over there.
Well, she wasn't going to do that in the United States. Yeah, she wasn't going to do that in the United States, period.
And then people thought that it was a game when she had that ankle monitor on during COVID, but they were really tracking her and Ellen because they all participated in something.
Right. Oh, you remember that?
Yeah. I'm telling you, I remember that.
Remember when the wildfire, that fire in where all the celebrities that had blue tarp on their roof, their houses didn't catch on fire. But during that time, it was 2,000 kids that came up missing. What happened to the kids? Yeah. Where they at? They still ain't been found.
And then, have you ever seen that documentary?
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Because their houses that was over there in Philippines or Hawaii or somewhere like that. Their houses wasn't damaged, but the whole town was gone from fires. And then she gonna go out there and give out some damn pillows. Man, nobody want no damn pillows, man. All that money y'all got, y'all need to start.
Mark Zuckerberg, none of the celebrities have damage.
And why do you have a house over there anyway? Even if you even be there. Because I think that's only for where they do their rituals. That's the only reason why you have a house over there. You're not a citizen. They can make you you can buy your citizenship, but you over there on some other things. You know what I mean?
You talking about in Hawaii? Because I'm talking about
I'm talking
Hawaii, where?
No, I'm talking about over there in the Philippines and places like that, in Africa.
Oh, okay.
That are not connected to the U.S. type places. I be paying attention to
I got
people. Just because they women don't think they ain't evil.
I know you do.
I've always talked about that.
You got any final thoughts? You got
Yeah,
any
I got final
final
thoughts.
thoughts, because I'm coming back with the next topic. Uh-huh.
Okay, well, hunting humans has been going on since humanity. And then also cannibalism, because what do you think they're doing with the people that they do that with? And like, remember in The Walking Dead, in a couple of scenes when they were there, they were like, where y'all getting all this meat? In The Walking Dead, if you ever seen that, then they showed how they were getting it. They were carving people up.
Mhm.
See, Walking Dead was showing, like a lot of these shows show what happened. And then it's all in the Bible. You can't, people, just because people want to look at the Bible like it's some wholesome book. I'm like, you look at that, man, that's a horror movie. When you think about it, it's every movie you can think about, from the streets to church to slavery to cannibalism to what you're talking about a lot. Every story is in the Bible when you think about it. So hunting humanity, hunting humans, has always been a way of life. That's what I think. And people
I
do it in
agree.
different ways, even though they're not cannibals. The thrill of them hunting another person, that's no different than gang members when you think about it.
That
Am
I
I
agree.
missing something? Like when people
Nope.
are hunting each other down in the streets, you see all this violence amongst people. They're hunting each other, you know. So it's a learned behavior from whoever they learn it from. But that's just my final thoughts on it.
Right. Well, I think that the hostel, because they always tell you what they do before they do it. And I remember vividly Pizzagate with Hillary Clinton, when Julian Assange hacked her emails before she deleted the 33,000 emails, and he posted her emails. And I remember vividly reading one of those emails, looking for a black walnut to sacrifice to Moloch. That's exactly was one of her emails, because she is a top level witch. Also, and during that time when the Pizzagate thing, and I think I'm gonna get into that Pizzagate, not right now, but and after Julian Assange did that, it was the onslaught. That's when he was arrested. Because he just got out when about 6, 7, 8 months ago. You ain't heard nothing from Julian, nothing from him, but he exposed everything. WikiLeaks.
Yeah, I know it. And then you remember the other dude that they poisoned during COVID? The other dude that they poisoned, and he was like around about that time. It was during COVID, man. They were killing a lot of people. The Malaysian flight that went missing. I'm like, it
Right,
was
and
a
how?
lot
Right,
going
right, and how a plane just go missing that didn't nobody see it? As big as that, if
on. And then all the
that,
people that were
but
on it.
it was a lot of
All the people that was on that Malaysian flight were like scientists or something. It was
but it was
something
a
weird.
lot of
Like,
scientists on that plane. But here, and somebody me do that, and I'm doing the Waymo self-driving car.
oh man, I don't trust nothing that's
But
self-driving. Got somebody else controlling it. I don't trust nothing that's self-driving. Nothing is self-done.
leave a
Nothing.
comment, please, and hit that like button. All right, be right back.
Because anything self